Welcome back to the Pal2Pal podcast, where we dive into the real stories and strategies shaping the world of global work. Today, we're zooming in on a country that continues to be one of the most complex yet rewarding markets for global business, Brazil. Today, joining me is Wagner Mendler, an international executive at SGF Global, with a very deep understanding of the country, and he has a previous background in sales, customer success, and obviously the EOR services. SGF Global operates in over 35 countries, providing staffing and human capital solutions for global companies. Wagner has been helping international businesses navigate the challenges of entering new markets, and Brazil is one of the most exciting ones on his list. Wagner, thank you very much for joining us today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey Rich, it's a great pleasure to be here talking to you. Always a great pleasure to talk a little bit more about Brazil. We are a big country, a big economy, and I've been helping companies for, I would say some years right now, especially after the pandemic, to explore this very interesting market. So I'm here to assist and to talk a little bit more about our market opportunities and help in any way we can. It's a pleasure, and so thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And which part of Brazil are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm in São Paulo right now. So I do believe that here it's a kind of a concrete jungle, as we say. So not as close to the beach as I would like, but yeah, I've been living here all my life, so I cannot complain.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. So, diving into pretty much our first topic, we want to talk a little bit about Brazil as a global business hub. I'd like to know more about your perspective as a Brazilian, working both locally and globally. Brazil is obviously Latin America's largest economy and a growing hotspot for a lot of foreign investment. From your point of view, why is Brazil so attractive to all of these global companies? And as well as you are currently working at SGF, what are you currently seeing with the companies that are hiring there?
Yeah, awesome and great question. As you mentioned, Brazil is a very large country, one of the largest in Latin America, but we are definitely more than size. Brazil stands out for innovation in fintech, agri-tech, and energy. I would say that fintechs and energy right now are, on very high demand. Plus, we have a stronger local demand than natural resources. For example, some electric car companies, such as BYD, for example, they are investing a lot in Brazil due to our lithium reserves, which are used to produce their batteries. So, of course, we have a great talent pool, a very, I would say, international market. We have lots of professionals here that speak English, for example, which is very good for companies that are looking to expand into Brazil. And companies, they tend to come here. It can be just for the talent that we have in the region, for the natural resources that we have here, or for the opportunities to invest in Brazilian market. So it's a very complex situation, but it involves lots of different aspects, and it's a very rich culture and country to be in.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good, valid point. And I think right now, overall, in all of Latin America, I think you mentioned BYD as one of the major kind of companies, I would say, in the EV industry. And it's also entering not just Brazil, but also Mexico. Being a Mexican myself, I do see that kind of coming into play with all of these companies penetrating Latin America in general. But aside from the EV industry, what other industries do you see leading the way for international companies?
Okay, so technology, I think this one goes without saying. Innovation and technology are somewhat kind of the same word because one comes with the other. So technology and technology companies, they invest a lot in Brazil, and Brazil is one of the countries that has a great talent pool in technology. So sometimes companies, they want to hire in Brazil for the technology talent pool that we have in here, but sometimes they just wanted to, I would say, come in here, grab the talents, and take them elsewhere. So we have lots of talents from Brazil that they are moving from Brazil to other countries as expatriates, for example, to work in international companies. But we do see a strong movement for IT companies in Brazil, for example. And
Right.
oil and gas is also a very strong, I would say, market here in Brazil. The energy market, which involves EV vehicles as well, but we are one of the largest, petroleum industries in the world. So we have lots of companies, such as companies from the UK and all around the globe, that are setting up in Brazil and trying to explore this side of our market here as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Brazil is pretty much setting up the standards in a lot of ways with its large, diverse kind of workforce. In regards to kind of like the remote hybrid shift that we're seeing, obviously, as of the pandemic, that really kind of swifted over and kind of moved a lot quicker the way that companies, hire people. Brazil's workforce has obviously evolved strongly in the last years. Along with that, we've seen those major shifts. Are you seeing more companies centralize some of these policies in hiring people in like remote, hybrid, or how are they hiring in Brazil?
Yeah, there's a tendency in Brazil in 2025, especially with companies that are tending to going back to a, I would say, full on-site situation. But there's lots of companies who are doing the hybrid solution, which in my perspective is one of the best that we have, because it can help balance a little bit more of the situation. You have the remote, but you do have the that face-to-face interaction that
Right.
builds a stronger relationship within the company. But of course, that I would say that this can also depend on, for example, the job position. People from IT, developers, and such people, software development, for example, AI professionals, they like to work remotely, mostly because they can do, their jobs almost by themselves with a lot of autonomy, and they can do it, from anywhere. But if it comes to executive roles, sales roles, for example, it is quite normal for companies to want to be back in a situation where you can have the face to face to build stronger relationships. In Brazil, we are a very warm culture. We do like a face to face interaction. We do like to, to grab a coffee, to grab a drink. So this is something that we like to do here. So I would say that it depends. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of companies going back to at least hybrid. So this is a trend right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I do remember once we've met back in Rio. That's actually where I've met the founders here of Textile, which we went to one of those conferences.
Yeah,
I think hybrid work in general is taking over Brazil specifically. Me having also worked with other companies, I do see kind of hybrid being stronger versus previous years because right now there is a sense of a lot of things that are activating. I know Brazil has a lot of fairs, has a lot of road shows, conferences that obviously that do they do require to be present. So I think that's great as far as understanding what companies are seeing in that side of thing. In regards to these companies that are, being compliant and obviously they're using SGF to hire people to employ them, what are some of the common mistakes that you see, maybe a US company or a Mexican company or a European company making when they hire their first Brazilian employees?
oh, awesome. That's a big one actually. So it's quite common to see companies make mistakes when they try to hire in Brazil and expand to Brazil, especially if we're talking about North American companies, companies from Europe, which has like very different types of regulations compared to ours. So it's quite normal. You see companies using global contracts without adapting to Brazilian labor law, for example. But I would say that the most common compliance mistake is treating remote employees as independent contractors to try and simplify the hiring. So many global firms misclassify, skip registering them under local labor laws, our CLT, and full-time employees, and overlook mandatory benefits like our FTTS, our decimum third salary, or aguinaldo in Mexico, or proper working hour tracking. This often leads to labor lawsuits, fines, and unexpected liabilities.
Yeah, perfect. Great point there. And I know oftentimes, companies rely on, companies like yourself, which, EORs, recruitment and compliance. So they trust you to understand that and help them, be compliant within that country. And when companies expand into Brazil, obviously SGF manages the onboarding. In regards to benefits, I know obviously, our site here at Textbell, we do the devices and laptop onboarding. What other benefits do you see that are being impacted or not given to employees, or that you think are some of the good benefits that they should receive?
Okay, so we have the mandatory benefits, such as those that I just mentioned, but we have other types of benefits that they are quite common in Brazil. They are not exactly mandatory, like life insurance, health insurance. Those are especially important for employees in Brazil, and although they are not mandatory, they are real, life changing to the ones that are here. Sometimes, and this happened in other companies that I worked for as well, when we were talking about EOR and the types of benefits that companies needed to provide to be, I would say, competitive within the market. So sometimes companies they ask me, okay, but you have a public health system, so why do I need to offer them like a health insurance? So this is quite a common mistake, because it makes a lot of difference if you have those types of of benefits, such as health insurance. And the meal voucher, for example, you can offer the meal voucher in very different types of meal vouchers. So it is mandatory in Brazil, but you can pay using a flexible meal voucher, which provides a type of situation where the employees can use it as, I would say, a credit card, and is accepted in all types of restaurants and supermarkets. So it's a real good situation. So you can tweak sometimes the benefits that are mandatory, so they can look better and be, I would say, benefits being more beneficial to the daily basis of the employees. And you have other types of benefits, such as gym pass, which allows them to access gyms and to work out, which is sometimes very common here as well. And the companies offer, and the employees love it. So yeah, we have the mandatory benefits, but it's always good to offer something a little bit more integrated with the market, and benefits that take care of the employee, humanize them in a social way, not only on the, I would say, the professional side. So this makes a lot of difference here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a very valid point in regards to employee benefits. Going over to another great topic that I think it's, trending right now, it's AI, the usage of ChatGPT, uh, and kind of like the automation and future skills. Um, a lot of Latin American countries are investing really heavy in AI and some of the digital strategies. How do you think that's shaping, the different roles in Brazil?
Yeah, this is great, and AI is being very popular in Brazil right now. I would say worldwide, but we're seeing a big push for especially data scientists, AI engineers, and cybersecurity specialists. There's a lot of concern when it comes to security, and cybersecurity and privacy, data privacy, because of AI. So we are trying to connect technology, privacy, but also roles that connect tech to business strategy, like project managers. Like, it's not just about coding; it's about making AI work across the organization. So business intelligence and AI, when you can combine those, it becomes very powerful. So right now, companies they are trying to combine AI and use AI to automate and to provide better business strategies, I would say, as a whole.
Yep, definitely. And I think right now, pretty much, there's a big debate and a lot of debacle in regards to, a lot of the jobs are going to be taken over by bots, and I think that's not the case. I think there's a very huge balance in automation, and obviously, a lot of this is going to help us, and it's going to improve the way a lot of the work, is done. Um, so moving over to kind of like the challenges and triumphs. And can you share a case, where ignoring some of the regulations or benefits has turned into a costly mistake for a company by not following, an EOR?
Yeah, sure. It's quite hard to say a specific name, due to compliance in these cases. But there was a specific case where a global IT firm, they misclassified employees as contractors to avoid paying benefits, like FTTS, decimal third salary. The labor court reclassified them as employees, forcing the company to pay heavy fines, back pay, retroactive benefits, which ended up costing millions and damaging the company reputation. So sometimes you can we can say that the company know what they are doing, but sometimes they just need a local partner to act as a consultant, such as SGF, for example, to avoid this kind of things from happening. Because it's quite normal, I know, in many countries to work with independent contractors, but if they got misclassified, this is something that can turn out to be a horrible situation for the company within the country.
Perfect. Well, thanks for that response. And I think right now, beyond Brazil, what other LATAM country do you see next being the frontliner or being, going into the same as Brazil is, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, from what we are seeing here, and I need to say that SGF is very strong within Latin America. So we are working throughout Latin America as a whole, and we do believe that the region is growing stronger day by day. So I would say that right now, Mexico and Colombia would be my bet for the two countries that are really growing strong in terms of technology and companies are looking to hire into. I have assisted companies from Brazil to hire in Colombia, for example, and I have assisted companies from the US to hire in Mexico this year for country managers, from operational to managing roles. So, yeah, those countries are quite big right now. Mexico and Colombia, those would be my bet. But of course, in next episodes of the podcast, we can invite people from Mexico and Colombia from SGF to so they can say their parts.
Thank you. Well, Wagner, thank you very much for bringing so much clarity to what's happening in Brazil and across Latin America. We know that some of our clients and future prospects of Texpal are looking to expand into Brazil, and I know you as a partner will be able to trust them to you to help them. And well, for our listeners, if you're exploring Brazil or any part of LATAM, I hopeful that this conversation shows you how important it is to understand not only the market potential but also the risk, obviously, that could imply in hiring people, expanding. This has been Pal to Pal, where we dive into the real stories and strategies behind global work. I'm your host, Rich Guerra, and I'll see you next month with another guest. Until then, and thank you, Wagner. I don't know if you want to go ahead and add anything else. Maybe you can explain to us a little some of the SGF aliases on social media so people can go ahead and follow.
Yeah, sure. So thanks again, Rich, for the opportunity. I think it's great to have a partner such as TextPaul, and we are definitely, uh, I would say, very eager to work with companies such as yours and your clients, and any company within the world who wants to hire in Latin America and worldwide, if they want help to hire, administer, and expand into other countries, it would be a pleasure to assist. SGF has more than 30 years of experience in the market. We are present in more than 35 countries right now, and as I mentioned, we are very big in Latin America. If you guys want to join in, our website is sgfglobal.com, and of course, we have our LinkedIn page, and I can share my LinkedIn profile as well when this episode comes, so everyone can connect and we can join in together. It will be a pleasure. We are inspired every day by work pals, but this week we had a specific situation where one of our work pals internally assisted other one with a with a situation that I would say was not within their role, but this was the thing that got me inspired because, especially when we are working with remote teams, everyone is set up in their own jobs and tasks. So taking a look into the task of your coworker and helping them in another department, for example, it can be something that is not only inspiring but helps us to understand a little bit more about the company itself, everything that we do, the other departments, and it helps you connect as a human. So helping others is also a thing that is always a thing that inspires me the most.
Thank you very much for that, Wagner.
Thanks, Rich.